When I think about my mother, I think about great cooking, fine sewing, good questions, sharp observations, creating order, organising, quilting, gardening, creating, making plans, a camping queen, an avid reader, a good daughter, a loving grandmother, a supportive mother. She's good at doing lots of things. Most would say she's capable and competent and decisive. But who is she really? I think to answer that, I need to tell a few stories. I was 24 years old and embarking on my travelling adventures. I was about to travel overland from Kathmandu to London. Flying to Bangkok was going to be the first leg of the trip. I was excited and nervous. I didn't know how long I'd be gone for or where I would end up. It really was the beginning of the adventure of the rest of my life. It was a few days before this and we were having a family gathering in Yowie Bay in the garden. And we were all feeling the enormity of what lay ahead. And after all, I was the eldest and the first to go. I remember Mum saying something like, "I'd love to come with you." And we all sat around and said, "Well, why don't you come?" And she said, "Okay, I will." So flights were booked and work was rescheduled. And a few days later, instead of embarking on this big thing on my own, alone, Mum came with me. And she was at my side to share the first step of my exciting journey and see me off. And we had a ball in Bangkok. Fast forward. It took a while to travel the world and find the love of my life and have my babies. I was 37 years old when Archie was born. And Louis came 2 years later. Now, being a first-time mum is a special, tender and overwhelming time. So Mum made sure that she was going to be there for me. And she came to support me from the other side of the world for 6 weeks, both times. Dad and my sisters, well, they just would have to fend for themselves. So Mum was there helping me learn how to be a new mum, to care for my new babies and when not to worry. And you know what, my babies always seemed contented when my mum swaddled them or held them. It was as if they knew that she knew what she was doing. So she looked after us, she did lots of cooking and cleaning, and I'm sure that the washing basket was never as low and the clothes were never folded as neatly as when she was there. And it was a very special moment when she said, "You're a good mother." So my last story is when I came home, when I got the call that Dad had weeks and not months to live. I was so glad to have the support of my husband and my job that enabled me to be able to stay as long as I was needed. And I knew that I wanted to be there for Dad and for Mum and my sisters. This was a bittersweet time, bitter for obvious reasons, but sweet because it was a chance to connect with my immediate family in new ways and see them with new eyes. Now, I know my mum and dad loved each other. And I also know that my dad on occasion could frustrate my mum and she would let him know that. So, you know, when I came home, I saw that my mother had put my father at the centre of everything. She thought of tasty little treats that he could eat to whet his appetite. She spent hours talking with him, holding his hand, soothing him. She cared for his every need. And at night, she lay down on the bed, on the floor next to him. I saw service and sacrifice and love. It was beautiful and touching and an honour to witness. Now I'm older, 49 this year. I have perspective from the other side of the world and I can see just how much I've learnt from her. A certain strength of character, the ability to adapt, the love of adventure and planning, and the deep love, loyalty and care for those she loves. I'm grateful to her for all that she's taught me and told me. And when it's her voice I hear in my head, well, I've learnt to listen. Congratulations, Mum. You've made it to 70 birthdays, and here's to many, many more.